Welcome back, guys. It's craft time. I am going to be doing what I'm going to call a pocket frame in this video, and if you're not sure what that is, then continue watching and find out. Let's go ahead and get started. So it's been kind of a trend or popular this past year to take some form of piece of wood, wrap fabric around it, and make a pocket in the front that you can put mail, paperwork, florals, some type of decor that you would slide down into that pocket. And I like that idea, but I'm going to obviously put my own twist on it. So I am going to be taking this pretty piece of lace that I have. Now for this, you don't have to have lace. You can have any type of fabric that you like that would fit your decor. I am using this old picture frame that I thrifted. If you go to your local thrift store, they always have so many frames that you can pick from. The only thing is I'm going to say is make sure it has a little bit of a deeper edge. That way you can fit something in behind it. And then I'm going to be using some balsa wood that I picked up. I picked it up from Michael's and Hobby Lobby, so your local craft store should have it. I don't know if they carry it at Walmart or anything like that, but it's just a really soft wood. They sell it in like little slats. And then just, I'm going to use hot glue because the balsa wood is super light. It's just a really light, soft wood. Some fabric scissors to cut my fabric, and I believe that's pretty much it. And then just whatever paint that you want to use to paint your frame. I'm going to be using chalk paint for this, and I'm going to be using white and then this hazelnut Waverly and mixing them because my lace is off-white and I don't want to have a stark white on there with it. I want it to all kind of like match up together to become one cohesive piece. So I'm just going to use that and create my own little like off-white color. So to start, I'm going to just lightly sand around my frame and get some of the yuckies off of it. It is thrifted, so it's a little dirty, but with chalk paint, you don't typically need to like super sand it. It's going to stick to pretty much anything, but this will just give me a nice smooth surface to start with. Wipe it down, and then I'm ready. So again, I made my own white using some white chalk paint and the color hazelnut from Waverly. I just mixed it in until I got it to what I would like it to be. And then I'm using a really soft bristled brush. A really soft bristled brush to apply that to my frame. I like to use soft bristles, that way it's minimum streak marks, and I'm going from one edge of the frame all the way to the end to make one fluid movement. So just a little tip for you if you're not super comfortable with painting. If you want nice smooth lines, start from one side of the project and continue all the way off the other side of the project. I believe I did 2 coats on this, the front and the back of the frame, and then a third coat on the front just to really make it look really nice and solid with no like parts where you can partially see through or anything. And then I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. I'm going to be using some Waverly Antique Wax to do the balsa wood. I am using the Antique Wax with a water mixture because I don't want it to be super dark. So I'm just going to take that, and before I cut my balsa wood down, I'm just going to stain basically or paint the entire thing with the Waverly antique wax, and then I'm also going to set that aside so that it can dry. Once both pieces are dry, I'm going to move on to the next step, which is going to be prepping my fabric. So I will say I didn't film this, I did it at the end, which wasn't an issue, but chalk paint does need to be sealed. I just did a clear wax over the top of the frame and got it all sealed in, but you might want to do that at this point if you don't want to have to work around. Since my frame is nice and wide, it wasn't really a big deal for me to do this at the end because I had overlooked that step while I was actually doing it. So after that, you would work on your fabric. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to cut my fabric down as straight across as I can, and then I'm going to fold it to make a nice like lip on it or a hemline. And if you're new to this channel, I sew with a glue gun because I don't know how to sew properly. I mean, I can get the job done, but it's not going to be pretty. So I use my hot glue for pretty much everything. I'm just going to use that because this is lace, just tiny, tiny glue dots all the way across to just have that sit the way that I want it to. and then I'm going to place it on the frame and get it cut down to size a little better before I apply it. Now I am using hot glue. You can use a staple gun. It might make it a little easier. Just do whatever is going to work best for you. I am making sure that I don't apply too much to where when I push the fabric down, it's going to like smush out onto the front of the frame. So I need enough to make it stick, but not too much, because then you'll have big hot glue globs going everywhere. So I have these little silicone thimbles that I use to protect my fingers, especially for projects like this. So I would suggest you get some. They are a lifesaver. I just got them from the Dollar Tree. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to hot glue the fabric on. I started with the bottom so that I could make sure that it was centered. So I hot glued the entire bottom. I put the fabric down and starting in the center and worked my way both left and right at the same time to make sure I was pulling it pretty tight and making sure that it stayed center. This is more important if you have like a patterned fabric or not. I just wanted to make sure that I had enough fabric on both sides since I did cut it down. After that is on there nice and good, I'm going to just pick one of the sides and do the same thing. Put enough glue on there and then get it down there. And I did use a popsicle stick to try to help me get it down in that in the corner really well to make sure that it's sticking. And with the thimble, I can't really, it was too big to let me really push down super far with the fabric. So I just did that on that side and tried to make it as tight as I could without messing up the fabric. And then again, I did that on the other side and just let that dry and cut away any of the excess fabric that was sticking up. Next, we're going to be taking the balsa wood, which you don't have to use balsa wood. My suggestion, the reason I love it is because you can literally cut it with scissors. It's super lightweight. It gives you the look you need, and you don't have to worry about having a saw. You don't have to worry about the project being super heavy or anything like that. So I really like this option. If you were doing like a bigger frame, I would suggest something a little more substantial. It would probably still work, but something a little more substantial might be better if it was a really big project, but it works perfectly for what we're doing here. I just flip the frame back face down as I did with the lace, and then I am marking it to see where I need to cut the wood. So you want to make sure you would rather cut it too big at first than too small, because if it's too small, it's not going to fit across and you've wasted that piece. So just doing it across, cutting it down, and then trimming off any excess that I need to make sure it fits well. And then I'm just going to figure out how these pieces will fall. I do want to make it like a faux shiplap, so I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between them, and then I'm going to hot glue it in. So as you can see, I literally used scissors, just go nice and slow to cut the wood. And then I'm going to need a partial piece for the bottom because the full thing doesn't fit. So I did the same thing. I measured it and I very slowly started cutting it. Now, if you're cutting it the long ways, I suggest you cut as far in on one side as you can and then turn and cut the other way. And then I just use my X-Acto knife, my box cutter, to cut the middle section, which the box cutter works fine if you wanted to just do that and not scissors, because it is so soft, it just cuts right through it. So I just hot glued that in. Same rules as with the lace, enough glue to make it stick, but not enough to where it will bubble out the front. I did have that happen in one little section, so I just took a paintbrush really quick and tried to get it out of there. And then once it hardened, I got the rest out with just using my box cutter to cut it away. And now we are ready to just add, I chose florals. I wanted to kind of make it nice and springy. So I just picked the florals that I wanted, kind of laid them out. And the idea of the pockets is so that you can put stuff in there and then change it out with the seasons, or if you like to change up your decor a lot, you can pull the stuff back out and then replace it with like say fall florals next and whatever. That's all grand, but I do plan on selling my piece, so I am going to just put a little bit of hot glue on the bottom of the stems to hold them in place to make sure that they're not just going to fall out, or during travel or anything, that the piece will come apart. But I don't want to add too much to where if they did want to switch it out on their own, that they can't just pluck it out and be able to reuse the piece however they want. So I'm just doing this to hold it all in place. Like I said, just a little bit of hot glue, and I'm trying to get it to stick to the back more than the lacy front. So I'm just holding the lace up, placing it, letting it dry, and then putting it back down. And the last thing that we have to do is just to add a hanger to it. Now you can use jute, you can use wire, you can use you can just do like a picture hanger on the back. I wanted the kind of effect of the hanger to show, so I used the wire jute from Dollar Tree, and I think it turned out super cute. So if you guys like this project and want to give it a try, let me know. I would love to hear how it turned out for you. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and if you're new here, consider subscribing to my channel and joining us on our crafting journey. I'm going to go ahead and take you guys in for a closer look, and I will see you next time.